That year, the villagers rescued a breathtakingly beautiful young woman. She had been caught in a storm, high fever rendering her unconscious, and was left abandoned in my family's cowshed. That night, my father, Caleb, crept into the shed. The other men in the village, their eyes bloodshot with lust, had seen her too. That woman would never again walk out of the cowshed. Before long, her belly swelled grotesquely. She was pregnant, and every day men, both old and young, came and went. No one knew whose bastard child she carried. My father, Caleb, grabbed her hair and dragged her roughly out of the cowshed. It had been 3 months. This was only the second time I'd seen her. The woman who had once been so radiantly beautiful, almost ethereal, was now barely covered by her ragged clothes, horrifyingly emaciated. Only her belly was monstrously swollen, like some grotesque abomination. My father, Caleb, slapped her face repeatedly, fresh blood continuously oozing from the corner of her mouth. But when she lifted her head and saw me, her eyes blazed with an eerie light. She pointed at me, mumbling meaningless sounds, then slammed her hand on the ground while pointing towards the door. Frightened, I recoiled. It seemed she had been poisoned into madness. You city women are only good at pretending to be noble. You were a university student, weren't you? Don't you know no one will want you once you're pregnant? Where would I get money for drinks then? You eat my food, drink my water, not to enjoy a good life here. Look at this useless belly. I haven't given you permission to give birth, so who did you dare to fool around with? The woman ignored him, not even flinching from the blows, only staring blankly at my face. Standing behind the fence, I reached up to touch the intricate burn scars crisscrossing my own face. My father, Caleb, had always told me my birth mother had poured boiling water on me herself. He claimed she wanted to kill me, and he was the one who saved my life. When girls in the village came of age, their families would marry them off for a small bride price. The whole family would then live off that money for a year or two. My father, Caleb, told me I wasn't so lucky. Uglier than a ghost, he'd say. In broad daylight, people would think they saw a specter. No one would take you, let alone pay a bride price. Since he couldn't profit from that, he only fed me enough each day to wait for the people from town to come and draw my blood. Each month, selling my blood earned him 100 yuan. Today, my father, Caleb, had been drinking and lost money gambling, making him especially vicious. Though short, he had immense strength, and each blow landed on the woman's swollen belly. I knew he was stingy, unwilling to spend money on an abortion, so he beat her until he was tired, then the alcohol's haze overtook him. He tossed the woman back into the cowshed and went to bed. As night fell, I skillfully climbed over the fence into the yard and took down the wooden board. Carrying a bag of pastries, I opened the door to the dark cowshed. "Auntie," I whispered, "run, don't take the main road. Find a cave somewhere and hide well. Wait 10 days, half a month, then follow the mountain path. Don't let anyone see you, don't trust anyone, not even the elderly or children." I anxiously shook her. Suddenly, I heard my father, Caleb, getting up to relieve himself, and I froze in terror. The woman, who had been sitting still, stirred. A faint smile seemed to flicker in her beautiful eyes. Her thin, dry hand moved with difficulty. I thought she wanted me to take her, so I whispered, "I can't take you, Auntie. I don't have an ID." With difficulty, she unclipped a small, beautiful, sparkling hairpin from her head. It was the only thing she wore when she was brought here. She carefully pinned it in my hair. That woman died, her belly burst open by my father, Caleb's, blows. The villagers, eager for a spectacle, crowded around layer upon layer. When her body was wrapped in a tattered mat, fresh blood oozed from a small tear. But what poured out wasn't organs, it was insects. Countless black bugs burst from her body, crawling out, biting anyone they encountered. Several onlookers were bitten and injured, most of them men who had visited her. The swarm of bugs was eventually burned to death by the villagers. Trapped behind the fence, I watched as a few managed to escape through the grass. Those who were bitten writhed in agony, as if burned by fire. The village chief's son wailed, his cries tearing at everyone's guts. The bizarre appearance of these creatures filled everyone with panic and fear. They had originally intended to dump the woman's body in the graveyard behind the mountain, but now they simply threw her directly into the river to be done with it. Early the next morning, at the first hint of dawn, the village chief led several tall, muscular men to bang on our door. "Caleb, where did you bring that woman from? How could something so evil come from her? Her belly was full of bugs. Maybe she wasn't even human to begin with. Now you've beaten her to death and she was in your house, but my son is the one who suffered. Either you pay for his treatment, or I'll chop off one of your legs. Choose. As soon as the village chief spoke, the families of the injured men behind him clamored, demanding compensation from my father, Caleb, threatening to break his limbs if he refused. Inside, I felt a cruel joy. I turned to run and retrieve the 2,000 yuan I had hidden in the dung pit, but my father, Caleb, grabbed my hair and slammed me to the ground. The fat on his face quivered. I don't have the money, but my brat of a daughter is worth something. If you want her, take her. The men, seeing my face disfigured by burn scars, unanimously took a step back. Caleb, that's not fair play. Years ago, your wife was the village beauty, and you beat her to death. If your wife were still alive to pay your debt, we'd consider it. But you're trying to pawn off this ugly brat? Are you trying to short my life just by looking at her? The crowd grew noisy and chaotic. I dug my fingernails into my palms until they bled. For the countless time, I silently thanked the scars on my face. Ugly to this extent, I was perfectly content. An old voice suddenly rang out. Quiet down. The crowd immediately fell silent. The oldest elder in the village stepped forward, looking at the festering, foul-smelling wounds on the legs of the men lying on stretchers. Gravely and with deep concern, he said, "This woman is most likely from the Miao village, a Miao woman with a malicious nature, capable of vengeful curses. What's more, she died pregnant with someone's bastard child, so her resentment is incredibly strong. Our village is about to face a great calamity. She has turned herself into a guworm to exact revenge on our entire village. Either you all chip in money to invite a master from the mountains, or the whole village waits to die." I never knew our village was so rich. The donations ranged from a few hundred to several thousand yuan. Especially the men who had once crept into my family's cow shed, they were shaking with fear. The more brutally they had tormented that woman, the more eagerly they now pulled out their money. When abusers face the risk of becoming victims, they are nothing more than paper tigers, easily pierced. The largest contributor, however, was my father, Caleb. He pulled out 5,000 yuan from an old newspaper advertising secret methods for bearing sons, then pointed at me and said, "This brat earns 200 yuan from selling her blood every month. Add that in too. Village chief, find a truly capable master to come here. Absolutely don't let that woman cause any more trouble. Damn it, why am I so itchy? It's best to make sure she can never reincarnate." After saying this, he couldn't resist scratching at a dirty spot on his own body. I struggled to suppress a smile rising to my lips. Last night, after my father, Caleb, had thrown me into the cow shed to clean up the filth, I had found a black bug. I threw it onto his bed. So, even villains know fear, do they? The village chief watched my father's actions, then glanced at me with a knowing expression. The master arrived quickly, a very handsome man. The village chief respectfully introduced him. This Master Li Su is a senior disciple of Taoist priest Zhen Shan, who has inherited his true teachings and specializes in dealing with the evil and unorthodox practices of the Miao people. From now on, everyone must obey him completely. This matter concerns the lives of our entire village. Anyone who dares to mess around, don't blame me for being impolite. Master Li Su's hair was streaked with gray, but his face was as youthful as a teenager's. His brows were tightly furrowed as he stepped forward to examine the wounds of those who had been bitten. A strong, putrid odor filled the air. "This woman's malice has caused great chaos," he declared, "a calamity that will affect 3 generations." His single statement sent the entire village into a frenzy. Everyone trailed behind him like a line of dragons, heading towards the riverbank where the body had been discarded. The pale corpse floated on the surface. The current was swift, yet the woman's body remained eerily motionless, as if nailed in place. Master Li Su's face drastically changed. He took a sharp step back. "A ghost fetus? Didn't you say she was just a woman who died unjustly? How could she become a ghost fetus? Moreover, this ghost fetus is already fully formed and corrupted." The village chief's legs turned to jelly. What is this?" He shot a blaming glance at my father, Caleb. "Caleb, what kind of evil spawn did you sow? It's about to be born." Huddled behind Master Li Su, people dared to examine the woman's body more closely. Her belly, which had only been slightly protruding, was now as enormous as if she were carrying twins. The thin skin of her abdomen seemed on the verge of bursting at any moment, and something beneath it appeared to be wriggling. My father, Caleb, was so terrified his legs buckled, and he collapsed to the ground. "How can this be? Yesterday, I saw it, it was only a little bit. It must have swelled up from being in the water for too long? Yes, that must be it, others mumbled. Master Li Su shook his head and sighed. If this humble Taoist isn't mistaken, this is a saintess of the Miao village. Once she becomes pregnant, her entire body will produce guworms. Originally, you could have enjoyed wealth and prosperity for 3 generations. Instead, you killed her. He continued, A Miao saintess is born with an inherent yin and evil nature. A drop of her heart's blood can bring the dead back to life, or it can cause all living things within 10 li to perish. And you allowed her to die so unjustly. Not only that, but now a ghost fetus has formed in her womb. Her immense resentment, combined with soaking in the heavy yin energy of the river water all night, means none of us will likely escape this fate. The villagers were utterly bewildered, understanding only that they were all about to be buried alongside this demonic woman. They scrambled to their knees, pleading with Master Li Su. Taoist priest, what must we do now? Li Su's face showed his discomfort. All right, this humble Taoist has also been unwittingly drawn into your karma. Let me make some preparations. Tomorrow, I will exert all my life's effort. Hearing that there was a path to survival, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. I didn't know if it was an illusion, but I thought I saw the corner of the dead woman's mouth, floating with open eyes on the river, curl into a slight smile. No one else noticed. Master Li Su continued, the demoness's belly is growing larger by the moment. We don't know when the ghost fetus will burst forth. I will leave you 10 sticks of soul-suppressing incense. Each household must send a strong young man, one with the strongest yang energy, to guard them, ensuring the incense does not go out. Wait for me to return tomorrow to dispel her resentment. Master Li Su, someone worried, this demoness is too evil. We're afraid something might happen tonight. Li Su smiled confidently. With my 10 sticks of soul-suppressing incense here, no matter how powerful she is, she won't be able to cause any trouble tonight. Rest assured. His confidence calmed everyone, and they respectfully accepted the 10 finger-thick incense sticks. As night fell, the riverbank seemed colder than usual, a chilling darkness seeping into my very bones. My father, Caleb, yelled at me to go home and cook food to bring out for these men. Carrying the heavy covered basket, the aroma of the rice and soup instantly roused the nodding men. I smiled as I distributed food to each of them, secretly observing the woman's body. It seemed no one had noticed that the corpse had drifted much closer to the shore. They ate and drank to their fill. As I was collecting the bowls and chopsticks, someone gasped, Huh, what's going on? Has the demoness come ashore? It looks like she's alive again. Caleb, go take a look, we didn't kill her. My father, Caleb, was pushed forward by the crowd, his legs trembling, yet he tried to maintain an angry facade. He grabbed my hair and dragged me along, forcing me to approach the demoness's corpse with him. Damn it, this troublesome woman can't even rest in peace after death. You dare cause trouble? I'll beat you to death again. His mouth cursed, but his hands trembled as he pushed me ahead. Behind us, lewd whispers spread. Caleb, don't tell me you're getting ideas even with a corpse. My brother, I respect you as a man, don't mention it. I'm looking at her and I want to do it again. Listening to these men try to ward off their fear with lewd remarks, I suppressed the anger surging in my chest. With no fear at all as I approached the corpse, I silently cursed these men to die and disappear from my sight. Strangely, though she had been dead for a day and a night, there were no signs of lividity on her body. Instead, her lips were red, her teeth white, and her complexion unusually rosy. Her previously emaciated body had become full, her face exceptionally beautiful, making anyone who looked at her feel their throat dry. My father, Caleb, suddenly slapped me across the face. What are you still doing here? This isn't your place. Damn it, are you trying to scare your father to death with that ugly face? I was knocked to the ground, then kicked again. I scrambled to my feet and ran back home. All talk and no action? What good is that? This woman is lying right here now. Anyone who wasn't satisfied before, come on over, I don't believe in evil. My father, Caleb's, voice boomed. Hearing his arrogant tone, I knew he was trying to save face and curry favor with the villagers. I clenched my teeth until blood welled in my mouth. Cautiously, I turned my head, only to see the men, initially hesitant, now exclaiming and crowding around the woman's corpse, their mouths spewing vulgar words about her, excessive beauty. My father, Caleb, shouted, Dare you not? This woman is suppressed by the soul-suppressing incense now. How many men are here? Are we really afraid of her? Maybe she'll even bless us with wealth for 3 generations. There's nothing to lose anyway. Damn it, I'm already living on borrowed time. It was old man Zhang, the old bachelor of the village, who began to excitedly advance towards the woman on the ground. I touched the hairpin in my hair, gathered all my courage, and ran towards him, pushing old man Zhang away with all my might. Before I could say anything, old man Zhang reacted, kicking me in the head. The pain made my head throb. "Caleb, your devilish brat dares to interfere? I'll deal with her too," he snarled lewdly. My father, Caleb, grabbed my hair and dragged me roughly to the side, pressing one foot on my back and holding my chin with one hand, forcing me to look directly at the crowd. Old man Zhang seemed even more excited. As I watched that cruel spectacle, my tears streamed endlessly. My body ached, and my heart ached too. One led to another. They, emboldened by their numbers, bullied the weak, looking no different than 100 demons' night parade. What should have been a night of horrifying fear had transformed into a debauched feast for a pack of vultures around a decaying corpse. I stared intently at the smoking incense stick nearby. Just as the last man left the woman's body, the incense went out, and the horizon suddenly brightened with an eerie, fish-belly white glow. I saw a layer of grayish death chi covering the faces of these men, but none of them noticed. Their expressions were dull and numb. My father, Caleb, kicked me again. "You wretched slut, see, this is what happens when you don't listen to me. Don't you dare follow your mother's example and try to kill yourself, or I'll dig up your grave and let people play with it." After saying that, he and the other men headed to the village entrance to wait for Master Li Su. My entire body was stiff. I smelled the disgusting, foul stench in the air, wanting to vomit several times. Picking up the hairpin from the ground, I suppressed the pain throughout my body and slowly crawled to the woman's side. Her skin was dazzlingly white. Her naked body, ravaged and no longer human-like, was defiled but still eerily beautiful. I could only take some reeds nearby to clean her roughly and then cover her. "Auntie," I whispered, "the reeds are a bit prickly, please bear with it. But don't worry, the reeds are very clean, much cleaner than those beasts." After saying this, I slowly stood up, but suddenly I saw a faint, almost imperceptible smile lingering on her lips. It was the same smile I had seen before. I wondered if I was mistaken. How could a dead person smile, unless it was a corpse transformation? Wait, a corpse transformation. Master Li Su arrived promptly. The village chief, peeking from behind him, recoiled several steps in fear upon seeing the woman's corpse on the shore. Li Su strode forward, sweeping aside the reeds covering her, and stared intensely at her enormous belly, his face extremely grim. "What is this? Didn't you guard the soul-suppressing incense last night? Why is this ghost fetus's murderous aura even heavier? This. It's about to burst out." Everyone guiltily lowered their heads, feigning fear. Only I lifted my head, silently observing the crowd. Li Su quickly formed hand seals, striking the woman's belly with each one. Then, sweating profusely, he asked, "Did you pull her ashore last night? Did you do anything else?" The men waved their hands frantically. "It must have been pushed up by the current. We were only focused on watching the incense." Li Su's expression softened slightly, but suspicion lingered. He pointed at me and asked, "Girl, why are you here? Tell me." I was singled out, my hands clenched. Just as I was about to speak, my father, Caleb, suddenly lunged forward, slapping me twice. "Slut, who told you to come here? Didn't I tell you I wouldn't be back for breakfast this morning?" The blows made my eyes water, and I wanted to speak, but only saliva dripped out. I lay prostrate on the ground, struggling to breathe. Li Su started to say something, then stopped, finally asking nothing more. My father, Caleb, feared that if Li Su continued to investigate, the depraved acts of the previous night would be exposed. So when everyone else was afraid to speak, he proactively stepped forward and addressed Li Su. "Master Li, please see how this demoness in my house has disturbed the entire village. Why don't you quickly get rid of her? I've spent 5,000 yuan. No matter what, you must ensure she never reincarnates. It would be best if you could perform an additional ritual so my family can have several sons." Li Su was astonished. "Your wife is dead, how can she give birth? This ghost fetus cannot be saved." My father, Caleb, said impatiently, "I'll just buy another one when I earn enough money." Then he looked at me, lying on the ground. "This brat of a daughter can also give birth." Li Su's face changed repeatedly. He finally spoke in a low voice. "Great chaos arises. Fortune and misfortune have no gate, only humans invite them. Blessings and calamities have no door, they come solely from human actions." He looked up at the darkening sky and shook his head. "In this world, What is more terrifying than ghosts and gods is truly the human heart. My father Caleb didn't understand what he was muttering, but seeing that everyone else looked at him with trust, he puffed out his chest and said, "Master Lee, we dirt-poor farmers cannot learn your rituals. All our lives, we only know how to farm, marry wives, sleep with them, and have more children. Didn't you say this demoness could originally bring us wealth for 3 generations? Now that she's dead, just make sure she gives each of us a son, otherwise, I'll beat her soul into oblivion." Li Su remained silent, simply reaching out to help me up. He led me to the riverbank, then turned to look at my father, Caleb, who was being flattered by the surrounding crowd, shaking his head in weariness. I limped along as Li Su led me to the riverbank. He put a handful of devil's needle grass and beggar ticks into my hand. "Little one, your hands are skillful. Help me pluck all the thorns off this devil's needle grass." My dizziness finally subsided, but the grass pricked my hands, sharp and painful. Devil's needle grass invigorates yang energy and is forbidden for pregnant women. What was he trying to do? "Master Li Su," I pleaded. "She's so pitiful. Can you please not make her die again?" Li Su smiled gently, reaching out to pat my head. "Her resentment is very strong now. Aren't you afraid?" I thought for a moment, then shook my head. "I'm not afraid. She's a good person. She even gave me something. Those other people are all bad. I don't want her to die again. I can give you money. I sell my blood twice a month. If I sell it one more time, I'll have 100 yuan." Li Su was stunned, then looked deeply at the various needle marks on my hands. He murmured, "Covering ugliness with good shoots, a fate not yet sealed." He took out a pill and handed it to me. "Young grass fears frost, frost fears the sun. The wicked will be dealt with by the wicked. Little one, do you trust me?" I stood there bewildered, clutching the pill, nodding mechanically. Li Su smiled. "On the first 7 nights of that woman's death, if you can seize the chaos to escape, don't look back. If you can't, this pill can save your life." Finally, something clicked in my mind. I looked up excitedly. "Taoist priest, are you planning?" Li Su gestured for silence, cautiously looking towards the villagers, then shook his head at me. I finished plucking all the thorns from the devil's needle grass. Li Su then instructed someone to catch black dogs from throughout the village, kill them for their blood, mix the blood with the devil's needle grass, and combine it with stove ash to form a paste. I need one person to help me smear this paste onto her body. The village chief hesitated slightly. "Master Li, will black dog blood mixed with these things still work?" Li Su looked up at him and said indifferently, "The Meow woman's evil aura is immense. If we don't seal every pore on her body with this ghost-sealing mud, she will surely undergo a corpse transformation within 3 days." The village chief scratched his head, forcing a laugh. Yes, this woman is very evil. My son's leg is awfully rotten now. Didn't you say that if you just get rid of her, the symptoms would disappear? Or could you just perform a spell to scatter her soul, or burn her and then cast a spell? I'm worried about my son's leg." Li Su's face clouded with displeasure. He stared at the village chief for a long time, making him shiver and shut his mouth. Then, he squatted down to help smear the mud onto the woman. After the mud dried, someone brought a blood-red wedding dress and a pair of paper shoes. There was also a life-sized paper effigy, with red eyes and green lips, looking incredibly eerie even in broad daylight. The wedding dress on the woman's body made her appear unearthly beautiful. I heard the men swallowing hard. Li Su then carefully tried to put the red paper shoes on the woman's small, pale feet backward. But the shoes kept slipping off, no matter how many times he tried. The cold wind made everyone's hair stand on end. Someone hesitantly asked, "What does this woman mean?" Li Su was sweating profusely. "She doesn't want to marry," he explained. "I arranged a ghost marriage for her. A ghost marriage was originally meant to appease her resentment, but her resentment is too strong. She wants a living person." "W wants a living person?" Everyone recoiled in terror, intending to flee, but their bodies were stiff, unable to move. Li Su sighed. "Pitiable, yet hateful. I will try to take a little blood from each of you and see if that can temporarily placate her." He pricked the fingertip of each person, drawing a drop of blood. He then instructed them, "The first 7 nights of the demoness's death is when her resentment will dissipate. During these 7 days, you must not leave the village, nor allow any outsiders in. If you provoke this Meow woman again, not even the great Luo immortals will be able to save you." My father, Caleb, stammered, "Do the people who come to draw blood also count as outsiders? They used to be from the same village." Li Su glared fiercely. "Are you still thinking about selling blood at a time like this? Do you want to kill everyone?" The others immediately criticized my father, Caleb, who then fell silent. The crowd dispersed. Li Su patted my shoulder and said in a low voice, "Little one, keep that pill on you, never let it leave your side. I promise you I will not harm that woman. You also promise me that if anyone tries to approach here, you must stop them and inform me. In this entire village, only your aura is clean, and only you can save everyone. Furthermore, this woman's resentment is currently immense, and she will surely attract some evil cultists who want to train her into a vengeful ghost to command. You must guard her carefully." I nodded. "I will watch over her carefully. If anyone asks, how do I inform you?" It was clear he was intentionally keeping me there because he didn't want the villagers to know about this. Li Su took out another pill and gave it to me. "Crush this pill, and I will sense it." I accepted it solemnly. Glancing at the woman's body lying in the sun, I smiled and nodded. "Okay, I will definitely do it." For the next 2 days, the village was calm and peaceful. The wounds of those who had been bitten did not fester further. The deep, bone-exposing gashes gradually closed. The village was filled with a festive atmosphere of joy and vitality, like Chinese New Year. The men still drank and boasted. Everything was no different from ordinary days, perhaps even more vigorous. Only the cold corpse of the woman, basking in the sun by the river, seemed to be silently sneering. Strangely, the bodies of the men in the village grew increasingly robust, their faces ruddy. Even the village chief's leg, which had been crippled for years, miraculously healed. He walked with a spring in his step, his face beaming as he greeted everyone throughout the village's alleys. The only abnormality was that the men's bellies slowly grew larger, little by little, but no one paid attention. What does a man need a good figure for? Some would laugh, saying a big belly meant they would become officials. Others marveled. That Meow woman really was evil. The village chief nodded. Yes, Master Li Su was right. She could have brought prosperity to our village for 3 generations. Now that she's been dead for a few days, the village is getting better and better. They gathered in the thrashing yard in front of my house. My father, Caleb, smoked his pipe, his face full of pride. "I spent 3,000 yuan to buy this woman. I didn't expect her to truly bring prosperity to our village." This money was well spent. The men, puffing out their slightly protruding bellies, vied to offer my father, Caleb, cigarettes, praising him for bringing good fortune to the village. My father, Caleb, chuckled, waving his hand as if it was a small matter. "Just doing what needs to be done," he said, puffing out his chest and soaking in all the praise, much like an arrogant rooster who believed the sun rose because he crowed. I sneered, peeking through the crack in the door. These fools, their bellies are even bigger today. Men getting pregnant, and no one finds it abnormal. On the 5th day, the blood collection team didn't come, but a strange man arrived. I stopped him at the village entrance. He looked thin and frail. "Have you ever seen this woman?" he asked, showing me a photo. In the picture, the woman smiled brightly like a flower. I calmly asked, "Who are you to her?" "She's my fiancé," he replied. "I love her very much." He turned on his phone screen, showing a picture of them intimately embracing. I took out the hairpin from my pocket and shook it in front of him. "How did you find your way here? Our village is very hard to find without a guide. What exactly do you know?" He immediately became agitated. "This hairpin is hers. I bought it for her. Her name, Thanh, is even engraved on it." "Thanh," I repeated, tightening my grip on the hairpin, slowly exhaling. "She's dead. Ask whatever you want to ask. Once you're done, leave quickly." Couldn't believe it. Dead? She was just angry and left me. How could she be dead? So that's why? I remained expressionless. So that's why what? So that's why I feel her overwhelming resentment, her whole body covered in blood. She blames me for not coming to save her. She said she wants everyone to be buried with her. "Little girl, quickly take me to her. You don't understand. My fiancé is from the Meow village and she's very stubborn. She will kill all you simple farmers." I chuckled coldly. "Simple farmers, not necessarily." He asked again. "Little girl, how did she die?" My eyes reddened slightly. "She was pregnant and someone beat her belly until she died." The man took 2 steps back. "It's over for you, all of you. Do you know who she is?" I replied. "Master Li Su said she's a Meow woman, a saintess of southern Meow. Have any of you had your bellies swell up suddenly?" I nodded. "Many people in the village have swelling bellies." His face contorted in pain as he grabbed my hand. "That's a worm pregnancy." He laughed and cried at the same time. "Inside are guworms with human faces and insect bodies. Another worm pregnancy?" I had encountered many women who had been defiled, but this woman was the strangest of all, able to make men pregnant. "Thank you for letting me know, uncle." The man pulled me, his face anxious. Quick, where is she? Take me there. Only I can persuade her now. Any later, and your whole village will be dead. Their bellies are big now, the goo worms inside have already formed. The day after tomorrow at the latest, they will burst out of their bodies. I raised my hand to stop him, looking into his eyes, then shook my head. Uncle, you said you loved her very much, right? The man nodded, puzzled. I love her, but I can't let her harm innocent people. She will never be able to reincarnate. I smiled. I won't let you go anywhere, Uncle. If you truly loved her, you should have asked what happened to her before she died that caused such immense resentment. Everyone here has her blood on their hands. Tell me, shouldn't blood debt be paid with blood? When the weak pick up weapons to resist, she has already cast everything aside. It wasn't her choice, but she had no other option. Don't you agree, Uncle? The man was stunned. I just don't want her to create too much bad karma. I sneered, but she was the one who was killed first, wasn't she? I reached out and pulled the barrier closed at the village entrance. The man still stood there in a daze. I turned and walked away. Unless the needle pricks their own flesh, they'll never know how it hurts, and they'll still blame others for not forgiving. 2 more days passed. The men's bellies in the village had grown so large they could barely walk. Finally, some of them began to panic. I hummed a tune as I walked towards the riverbank at the village entrance. The sun is too strong. I need to add some more reeds to cover her body. I saw the man climbing over the barrier into the village. He looked a little awkward when he saw me. I truly love her. I won't harm her. Your villagers are too fierce. I'll give you 500 yuan if you take me to see her. I scoffed. Give me 5,000. He quickly nodded, overjoyed, reaching into his pocket. I still won't take you. The smile on the man's face stiffened. He glared at me fiercely. Do you think you're helping her? Her body covered in black dog blood, a blood-red wedding dress, paper shoes worn backward, blood from fingertips, and even a ghost marriage with a demon king. The goo ghost slaughter will make all things weep. Someone is trying to cultivate her into a goo worm, do you know that? Cultivating goo? My eyelid twitched. How do you know so much? The man lowered his head sadly. It's all my fault for taking her out of the Meow village. She even joked that if anyone ever wanted to cultivate her, I must protect her. She once said it would be better for her soul to scatter than to be cultivated into a goo, otherwise, she would forever be a monster commanded by others. I don't want her to become a monster. When the man finished speaking, my heart ached. The hairpin in my palm felt burning hot. I wanted to help her, but Master Li Su and this man both seemed like good people at first glance. Who should I trust? The man grabbed my hand, sweating profusely in his urgency. Don't hesitate any longer, trust me. This is a trap set by someone. If someone didn't know she was a Meow woman, they couldn't have intentionally caused her to accumulate such dense resentment. How was she brought to this village? Why was her resentment created? You just need to investigate, and you'll know immediately. You carry her aura, and yet you have no trace of dark energy, so it must be related to someone close to you. My hair stood on end. My father, Caleb, intentionally killed that woman. Seeing me waver, the man continued, anyone affected by her resentment will have their belly swell up and won't be able to move. They'll need you to care for them. If someone threatens their life, they won't be able to resist. I narrowed my eyes. Uncle, you want me to kill people? The man sighed, looking up at the sky. I only want what's best for her and for everyone. If you don't go now, I won't be able to save her either. I stamped my foot. Wait for me over there. Running back home, I casually grabbed the bottle of perquad herbicide my father, Caleb, had left over from before, then turned and entered his room. My father, Caleb, was sleeping on the dirt bed, clutching his enormous belly. Pregnant people tend to be sleepy, and he didn't notice he was tied up. I leaned close to his ear and softly asked, "Father, wake up." He started, opening his eyes, and tried to raise his hand to slap me, only to realize he couldn't move. Seeing my smirking face and the bottle of herbicide in my hand, he immediately became docile. "Good daughter, what are you doing? This isn't a toy, quickly take it and throw it away." The smile on my face grew even brighter, but my heart was filled with bitter sorrow. Indeed, only when the needle pricks your own flesh do you know how it hurts. Not all parents love their children, especially when I am a daughter. I took his favorite wine cup, poured a cup of herbicide, and held it to his lips. "Father, where did you really find that woman? If you don't tell me, I'll help your belly get rid of the worms." Perhaps my desperate demeanor frightened him. I smelled a pungent, metallic odor, and he finally opened his mouth. He confessed that someone had given him 5,000 yuan and told him to carry a woman away. That person said, "You can do whatever you want with her. If she gets pregnant and has a daughter, give her to me. If she has a son, he's yours. If you don't want children, just beat her to death when she's pregnant. Then I'll give you another 5,000. Suddenly, he'd gotten a great beauty and 10,000 yuan. My father, Caleb's, eyes lit up, and he immediately carried her back. She was already defiled by someone else anyway. She wasn't worth much. I made her earn money for me. Wasn't it all to buy meat for you to eat? I nearly crushed the cup in my hand. Villains are always good at finding excuses for harming others. Whether women are worth money or not is not for you to decide. Didn't you want to earn money by defiling me? I pierced myself with wood a long time ago. You want sons? Go find them in hell. The man was still sitting at the village entrance. I stood before him. I'll take you to her. He put on an "I knew it" expression, dusting himself off. Sometimes the devil is actually right beside you. I said nothing, leading him heavily to the riverbank. The man squatted down, hesitantly pushing aside the reeds, revealing a vivid red patch on the woman's body. His expression changed unpredictably. Indeed, my poor Thanh. He reached out without a hint of disgust, embracing the woman's corpse and tearing open the wedding dress. His greedy eyes fixed on her belly. Through the thin skin of her abdomen, wriggling shapes could be seen inside. "Uncle, what do we do now?" The man seemed not to hear me, his hand caressing the woman's belly as if it were a precious treasure. After a long moment, he said, "She has already undergone corpse transformation, look." Her fingernails, teeth, and hair had all grown long. "I can't hold her, she's blaming me." My heart tightened again. "So what should we do?" "She needs someone she trusts to breathe a breath of life into her. In this whole village, only you have helped her. She won't harm you. Come here and breathe a breath of life into her." I had to kiss a corpse. My legs wouldn't move. The man yelled at me, "Don't just stand there. If she fully transforms, if the goo ghost slaughter fully forms and she turns into a monster, she'll kill you too." I knelt, took a deep breath, closed my eyes, and kissed the soft, bright red lips of the female corpse, putting all my strength into blowing a breath of life into her. But the corpse remained as heavy as Mount Tai. "There's no other way. We'll have to leave for now," the man said. He explained he needed to fetch her belongings from when she was alive so she would recognize them. "Little girl, when you go back, absolutely do not show any weakness. If that person finds out about this, I might not be able to protect you." I nodded solemnly. "I'll wait for you, uncle. I'll also protect her body well." The next night, I heard the agonizing cries of many people, identical to the groans of women in childbirth. Tomorrow would be the first 7 nights of the woman's death. Li Su had not been seen for 3 days, and panic was starting to spread through the village again. I suddenly remembered what the man had said. Tomorrow, if the woman's resentment isn't suppressed, those men will give birth. Otherwise, those guworms with human faces and insect bodies will burst out. It's sure to be very lively in the village then, won't it? Don't they like to defile virgins to have sons? Well, they'll have many, many sons. The curses and cries in my ears were incessant. I hummed a tune as I walked home. The cries of the wicked were a song of praise for those who died unjustly. Back home, my father, Caleb, alternated between cursing me and the woman. Hearing me, he immediately yelled at me to cook him food. I sneered, stir-frying all the meat in the kitchen and eating it all myself. My father, Caleb, didn't love me, so I had no father. On the first 7 nights, no one slept. The moon in the sky was large and full. The men in the village writhed in agony, clutching their bellies. Long goo worms, like roundworms, eagerly burst forth from their abdominal skin. After giving birth to the worms, their bellies were riddled with holes, black and pitted like a lotus seed pod. The small worms crawled everywhere, burrowing into anyone they encountered. The newly delivered men were torn apart bit by bit. Some were left as only piles of white bones on the ground. The wives and daughters, whom they usually beat like obedient dogs, now watched everything coldly, laughing with grim satisfaction. "I told you, giving birth hurts a lot." The small worms didn't attack me. They even attacked the men who tried to grab me. I pondered for a moment. Hearing my father, Caleb's, agonizing screams, I ran into his room, took out the pill Li Su had given me, and put it in his mouth. His belly stopped moving, his pain subsided. He temporarily stopped giving birth, and the worms didn't attack him. My father, Caleb's, eyes were moist, surely from the pain, but his face showed a touching expression as he said, "You really are your father's good daughter. I didn't raise you in vain." I smiled coldly. "Father, do you know what hurts more than giving birth?" He looked bewildered, saying nothing. "You'll know soon." A spluttering sound echoed, and countless worms burst from his body. My father, Caleb's, screams were more resounding than all the past dozen years combined. That pill was a worm-attracting drug. I stood at the village entrance. Behind me, the wails and lamentations made the earth tremble, like hell on earth. Calculating the time, I crushed the other pill. Li Su arrived very quickly, and the man also came running, panting. Their eyes met, and they both exclaimed in unison, "Why is it you?" Then they both turned to look at me, their faces utterly grim. "Little one, what have you done?" I smirked at Li Su. "Done? Didn't you want to cultivate a ghost slaughter? I'm helping you." Before death, she suffered countless humiliations. After death, she created thousands of acts of slaughter. Her heart's blood, which could revive the dead, will now condense into a goo king. From now on, she will only obey her master. "Isn't that what you wanted?" Li Su roared. "But now she has found a master. Don't you see the worms all over the ground, devouring the people in your village?" The man finally understood what was happening. "Damn you, you wretched girl, you dared to play me. You intentionally wanted to prevent her from ever reincarnating." I gave him a sidelong glance. "How could that be?" "But you treated her belly like your own son, how could I trust you? Did she accidentally run away and get kidnapped by someone? Or was it intentional by you? Neither of you are good people." "Enough, enough, enough," Li Su interrupted. "Although she has found a master, the goo worm is still nascent. It hasn't absorbed enough flesh and blood, there's still time." Li Su looked at the man. "Chen, what are you waiting for? You already knew the method to completely kill a meow woman, yet you deceived me, intending to use me as a shield, didn't you?" The man shook his head in distress. "I couldn't bring myself to harm her." Li Su gave a cold laugh. "So you borrowed someone else's hand. Before death, she was trampled upon, and after death, she was defiled again." I chuckled coldly. "Don't argue anymore. Both of you come at me. Either way, you'll both die, no need to fight over who goes first." The two men looked at each other and laughed heartily. "Little one, big words for someone your age. Do you even know who we are? Are you worthy of talking to us like that?" I smiled, narrowing my eyes, and shook my head. "Am I not worthy? Then is my sister worthy?" With that, I looked behind them. The woman, wearing a blood-red wedding dress, beautiful and captivating, stood there. Li Su recoiled 2 steps in terror. How can this be? The red mud of 7 orifices, how could you possibly break free?" He spun around to face me, his eyes practically bursting. "It was you." I smiled and nodded. "For this, I have to thank Chen, otherwise I wouldn't have known how all of this truly happened." Chen mechanically turned his head to see Than, who was now smiling an eerie smile, his legs trembling. Than, quickly. The meow woman has undergone corpse transformation. Quickly use the meow dagger she gave you and stab her in the heart." Master Li Su screamed at him in horror. But no sooner had he finished speaking than Than slapped him, sending half of his face flying off, revealing a gruesome mix of red flesh and white bone. "You who have you accepted as your master? Why is my soul-suppressing charm useless?" I chuckled, squatting in front of him, picking up a bronze sword from the ground and offering it to him. "Because of me. Let me introduce you both. This is my half-sister, Than, and I am Giao, now the symbiotic partner of the ghost slaughter." Than flew over and grasped my thin hand. Li Su was utterly terrified. So that's it, you used the reincarnation charm." Then he prostrated himself on the ground. "Saintess, spare my life, it was all Chen who came to me. He said he didn't want to be with you anymore, claiming you had placed a goo on him. He said that if I killed you and took your heart's blood for him, he would let me cultivate you into a ghost slaughter. You should seek revenge on him." I gritted my teeth and asked, "Didn't you drug my sister and sell her to my foster father?" Li Su shook his head repeatedly. "You should ask Chen. She was already unconscious when they brought her to me. Sometimes the devil is actually right beside you." I remembered Chen's words to me, my teeth grinding together. It turned out the devil wasn't a ghost, but a human. "Was it you?" I reached out and tightly squeezed his neck. My sister flew over, her throat, rendered mute by poison, now emitted a gravelly sound, and 2 streams of blood tears flowed from her eyes. "Ah, Ben, that cup of water. You gave it to me to drink." Chen's face showed pain. "Than, don't blame me. Blame yourselves, you meow women, for loving to place goo. I've been under your control my entire life." The two looked at each other in silence for a long time. Next to them, Li Su had been devoured completely by the small worms from my sister's body. He screamed, witnessing his own gruesome fate, his eyes filled with horror. My sister laughed tragically. One hand pierced directly through Chen's chest, pulling out a bloody, dripping heart. "Fool, I never placed a goo on you. I even told you how to kill me. Look, your heart is red, there are no guworms." Chen couldn't believe it, a flicker of regret and fury in his eyes. "Than, you said you loved me the most, why did you kill me?" My sister slowly shook her head. "Blind love never has a good ending. You taught me that." With those words, my sister crushed the heart in her hand.